All right, let's turn this down, man. It is fight night. Fight night. What is it? Saturday, June 4th. Undisputed 135 Devin Haney. Real undisputed. An undisputed that can no longer be disputed. How about that? But Devin Haney, George Kambosos. Let me say George Kambosos versus Devin Haney would be more accurate. Early on, I was liking Kambosos on this one. Let's just not beat around the bush. Early on, I was liking Kambosos in this one. I think he made a great showing of himself. They're fighting in Australia. This guy's a bigger man that, from what I know of Haney's more previous fights, probably one of the bigger guys he's fought. I feel like Haney's fought smaller guys. I was looking at the box rec, and I think he was always at 135, or at least there for a while. But yeah, this guy feels like he's bigger than most of Devin Haney's opponents. So, he has these advantages going for him. Now, the judging, I'll talk about betting. So, yeah, I always try to come in with an objective look, because if it's not, it costs me a lot of money a lot of times. Trust me, I'm a Cowboys fan, I know. But the fact that they're fighting in Australia, as far as I know, I heard there's not an American judge out there. You got factors working against Haney. His dad wasn't going to make it out, who's normally in his corner. All these different factors. That was even before that. We found out about his dad's visa. Before all that, even before that, I was leaning towards Kambosos. Being there in his stadium, the way they fight, the way David Haney fights. Or, they say he's a quote-unquote boring fighter. I don't know. I don't agree with that, but it is what it is, and people say that. And when you're a boring fighter and you're fighting out in somebody else's country trying to take all the belts from them, you've got a lot of cards stacked against you. And I don't know. I don't want to blame the judges, already. But as a gambler, it's a factor. I could see Haney's decision. I could definitely see a decision the other way. I could see a draw in this fight. I could see it getting stopped by either side or fighter. I think that's less likely. Like I said, early on I had Kambosos going in this fight. I liked the way he looked against Teofimo Lopez, and I was like, he beat this guy. Like I said, I think he's bigger and definitely faster hand speed, better combinations than most of the guys that Haney has fought. Then the last 48 hours came. Let me tell you what's happened in the last 48 hours. It made me at least think twice, third and a fourth and a fifth time about this fight. First of all, Haney's dad got the visa approved. Ooh, that's a big deal. That's a big deal, I feel like. If anything, Haney's going to be much more comfortable. I think he'll get better instruction with with Haney in the corner of his father in his corner. Obviously, they've worked together. He's used to having him there. Let's keep it that way, and I'm so glad he's getting there. Just as not because I'm going for Haney, but just because I don't like excuses, but that happened. Kambosos missed weigh-in, the first weigh. Had to give the 2 hours and come back and re-weigh. I don't know if that'll actually have a big physical impact that'll be worth noting or making a difference. But again, boxing, man, it's just like everything. It's a mental game. It's a lot of big mental game, and I think that stacks well in Haney's favor. The fact that he missed weight, I think Haney probably got a little more confidence. This guy can't even make weight. May have gotten Kambosos' head talking about when he was talking smack over there at the weigh-in, talking about real champ makes weight. Yeah, you never know what triggers people. And then last night I did my film study. So one thing that I was noticing as I was watching the Kambosos fights, one thing that I noticed is Kambosos, this guy gets hit with a lot of jabs. With a lot of straights. Two punches that I feel like Devin Haney is actually really good at. He's got a great lead jab. He can throw it in many different kind of ways. He's got an excellent straight right hand. Snappy. That's the slowest moving train ever. Snappy. Uses it very well, those 2 punches. Now, when I was watching the Kambosos fight, I saw Teofimo landing that overhand right, straight right hand, whatever you want to call it, pretty regularly. And, like I said, I think Devin Haney lands that. Now, he probably doesn't have the power of Teofimo Lopez. But those quick, snappy punches, the 1s and the 1-2s, I mean, you take them all night long, and it can cause some damage, and it can cause a stoppage. I mentioned I could see it stopping either way. That's how I would see it if it doesn't. I think it's unlikely. It's not what I would put my money on only. Not all my eggs in that basket, but I think Haney, if he gets a stoppage, that's how it comes. He'll start landing those 1s and 1-2s. He might start pot shotting, landing them like kind of at will. And he may not even knock Kambosos down, but if he's snapping his head back a bunch, there could be a stoppage. Also, those straight punches, if they land, if they glance off you, they can open up a cut. Kambosos cut on his, I want to say it was his left eye against, I don't remember, but he had a cut on the Teofimo fight. My theory's always been, if you cut once, you probably cut twice. Watch that. So that right hand's gonna hurt. But I tell you, the fight that Kambosos had, it had a bigger impact on my thinking, was that fight prior to that, the Lee Selby fight. When he fought Lee Selby, I think that's more likely the way this fight, it'll resemble that fight much more than the Teofimo fight. When he fought Lee Selby, that fight was fought a lot different than that Teofimo fight that he had with him. Against Lee Selby, it was more at distance, and it was Lee Selby that was determining where that fight would happen, the distance, the real estate, where how far they went. Lee Selby is a little erratic to me. I mean, like his movements are. He's moving all over the place, side to side, wasted a lot of energy, not always not finding the right spot to be at. But he moves a lot, so it threw Kambosos. It seemed like threw him off a little bit. I think that's going to be much more that type of fight, where it's fought at a distance, a more controlled fight. I think that's what this will be. And I think it'll be this way because what I saw in that fight, like I said, Lee Selby was the one that was controlling the distance, in my opinion. And I think Devin Haney has kind of the same ability to control that distance. And he does it much better, in my opinion, than Lee Selby does. He understands the distance. He understands where he needs to be to throw his straight 1s and 2s, and where to be to not be hit. He's got much better reflexes than Lee Selby will ever dream of having. So this is natural, I guess you could say, God-given abilities, I think, I'm missing all my turns here. Talk boxing, I start missing all my turns. Sometimes that happens when you're riding a motorcycle and trying to make boxing prediction videos. But Selby is definitely the one in that fight, in my opinion, that controlled the distance. I think, like I said, Haney will be able to do that much better. But I think this fight is going to be very competitive in the first early rounds. In the first 4 or 5, maybe the first halfway mark of the 6th round. I think Haney will show his discipline. So see, I'm in this new area. I don't know the roads, and it's caused me to fuck these videos up here. I'm sorry, guys. But I think Haney's gonna be able to establish distance control, and I think that's gonna be I think it's kind of gonna be over once he does, and I think it might take him a few rounds to do that. He's gonna have a very excited crowd. He's gonna have to kind of reduce their excitement. And that may take some time to do. But I think around 4, 5, 6 middle rounds, kind of early to middle rounds, I think Haney's talent is going to be shown in a way that it never has been. And a lot of that has to do with these styles, like it was what I was saying. I think those jabs, the 1s, and the 1-2s, I think will lock this fight away for Devin Haney.